stress, what do you think of? Typically, when we ask clients, "Are you stressed? How are your stress levels?" Most people, especially if it's women, but most people in general are like, "Oh, my stress is not that bad. There's a little bit of stress because XYZ is going on with my child, or my parents are getting older and there's some health concerns there, or I have some stress at work, or a lot of people lately have been complaining about the increased cost of living, which is definitely something that we've seen in the last couple of years. But these are all the stressors that we think about. And so when I say that, are you stressed and what are the things stressing you? These are ones that commonly come to mind. But there's a lot of other stressors that we often don't even consider. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because when we think of the body as like a barrel, a bucket, and if you think about like, oh, okay, the financial stress brings you to here, and then problems with your child at school or your child's health brings you here, and then your parents bring you here, and then work stress brings you here, and all these different stresses pile on top of each other. When do you get to the point where you can't keep your head above water anymore? And these are when symptoms start to show up. If you're dealing with any kind of health concerns or any symptoms showing up in your body, this is the body's way of saying, there's a problem and I need your help. And a lot of the times, this can be linked to stressors. It's not just the mental, emotional stresses that come along with family, that come along with finances, that come along with work, that come along with these things that we think about, but there's the other stressors as well. And something that we often talk about with you, and we've been holding in person events. We're actually holding another one on March 23rd. The February one did really well, and everyone said, I want to be able to invite friends. It was great. So we're doing another one March 23rd, and that's talking about parasites. Parasites are one of the underlying infections that can live in our body that often go undetected. So, parasites are a big one. Heavy metals are something that we frequently hear people concerned about as well. Heavy metals can impact the brain. They can be connected to things, they can hang out in your joints. So, you can have joint pain. This can be connected with ADD, ADHD. Kids that are on the spectrum, heavy metals can be a really big factor here. We also have mold. We had a woman on our podcast a couple weeks ago who's a breast implant illness coach and or specialist, I guess, and she mentioned that 80% of her clients or more test with mold as a factor in their body. And if your body's trying to deal with mold or is trying to find places to store these things so that they're not getting into the organs and glands and into the tissues and causing health problems, these are stressors on your body. Another one, I can't hold up my phone because I'm on my phone right now, but another big stressor on us that we don't often consider is electromagnetic frequency. I talk about radiation a lot of the times, and people are like, oh, radiation. Like, we don't even think about radiation, but your cell phone is radiation. It's emitting radiation. Wi Fi is radiation. I'm on a laptop and a phone right now. Both of those are contributing to the stress on my body. EMF is a stress that's on your body 24 hours a day, especially if, like, I live in a townhouse. So when I go to look for a Wi-Fi signal to connect to, I have like more than 10 options because all of the homes around you are also sending off the Wi-Fi signal all the time. And so these are all going to be stresses on your body that we don't even consider. And when the body is in a state of stress, your body is always trying to keep you safe. And you can end up in a state of survival or in fight or flight, even though you're not doing things to get you there, but because of these other things that are impacting you. So, we've talked before about the things that you can do for stress. So, there's simple things, especially when it comes to nutrition. When we're under a state of stress or when we're in a state of stress constantly, your body is going to burn through minerals very quickly. This is magnesium, sodium, potassium. All of these, your body is going to use them to help deal with the stress condition that you're in. It's also going to burn through B vitamins really quickly. So, this is a time where it's very important, especially from the mineral perspective, to make sure that you're getting minerals to replace what your body is burning through. If you're dealing with you wake up in the middle of the night and you have calf cramps, or you're someone that you find you have achiness in your muscles, you wake up in the morning maybe and there's cramps in your feet or in your legs, this can be a sign for you that you need extra minerals. And so you can take a mineral supplementation. That's definitely something you can do. We take CT minerals from Cellcore, but there's also, you can add salt to your food. And I'm not talking table salt. We've been trained, kind of conditioned by society to think that salt is a bad thing, but the right quality salt actually has so much benefit to our bodies. Are you someone who drinks a lot of water and you find that you just have to pee constantly? We need to make sure that we're hydrated, but hydration isn't just drinking water. We want to make sure that this water is able to get into our cells as well. And the body does that. It needs sodium to be able to do that. We actually have what's called the sodium potassium pump in our cells that takes the water from kind of the intracellular matrix or between the cells. And to get it into the cells, you do need sodium. And this comes from really good quality salt. So this is the Himalayan salt. This is the Celtic sea salt, even sea salt. We want to make sure that we're not consuming things like table salt because they are not the right ratio of minerals to be able to give your body the proper hydration that it needs. So if you're someone that's dealing with calf cramps, leg cramps, taking magnesium can be really helpful as well. But again, just making sure that you salt your food. Or if you're drinking a lot of water, if you're someone who sweats a lot, we also want to make sure that you're getting enough minerals in there so that your body can use the salt properly or the water properly. Other things we can do, deep breathing. I know this seems like super easy. And a lot of the times, especially if there's a woman that comes to us who's dealing with some hormone stuff, that can be the first thing that we recommend. Like, okay, we're not going to add all kinds of complicated things to your program. We're not going to give you a strict meal plan. We're not going to give you strict diet recommendations. We're not going to tell you you need to go do 75 hard and push your body to the limit every single day. You're going to take some time and take some deep breaths. Taking a few deep breaths, just like by yourself, you can even lock yourself in the bathroom. I've had many moms with young babies, and it's like, okay, so just take a second, put them in the chair, put them in something so that you can sit there and just taking a moment to take a few deep breaths takes your body out of the fight or flight and puts you into rest and digest and gives your autonomic nervous system a chance to reset. Because if you're constantly in a high stress state, the body is not prioritizing the non essential things. The body is prioritizing keeping you safe. So, digestion is not a priority. This can lead to diarrhea. This can lead to constipation. Many people have nervous poops. Many people, if they're stressed all the time, they will hold on to stuff and not let them go. This can mean holding on to extra weight. This can mean holding on to feces and being constipated all the time. This can mean holding on to emotional stuff that gets stored in other area of the body and leads to other problems as well. So taking some time to take a few deep breaths takes you out of that fight or flight for a moment. Then your body has the chance to prioritize digestion. We need to digest food properly so that we can get all of the nutrients out of it. Otherwise, we're just passing through that food that we've made the effort of cooking, preparing, buying quality foods. You're not going to get the value from it if you're not able to digest it properly. Hormones are often not prioritized or also not prioritized if you're constantly in a stressed out state. If you picture you had a whole bunch of yellow Lego pieces, and you wanted to make something out of the yellow Lego pieces. This is progesterone. So this is one of the female hormones that's really important for in terms of balance. It's important to have a balance between estrogen and progesterone. Otherwise, that leads to complications, things like estrogen dominance, and a lot of the symptoms that women deal with, especially going through perimenopause. Well, if all of those yellow Legos are being used to make stress hormones and not able to make progesterone, then you're going to end up with that estrogen dominance problem and issues there. And it has nothing to do with you having too much estrogen. Has to do with you not having the tools to be able to make the progesterone to create the balance that you need. So again, the deep breathing is helpful here. The focusing on taking some time for self. This is often something that we don't do. You want to make sure that, yes, you are getting enough hydration. We want to make sure that we're getting good quality sleep. Staying off of these things, these electronic devices at night can be very beneficial. If you're someone who wakes up in the middle of the night with hot flashes, this is a sign from your body that there's a stressor going on somewhere that's causing your hormones to not function properly, which could be heavy metals, could be mold, could be parasites, could be chemicals. Chemicals is another big one that I haven't really talked about. But these are all having an impact on you. And if you have symptoms, your body's trying to tell you there's something not right. So making sure you're well hydrated, yes, making sure it's water, clean water, and salt. Enough salt so that there's the balance so your body can actually put the water into your cells where it belongs. Making sure sleep is prioritized. So get away from the blue light. Stay away from the electronic devices in the evening. Our body thinks that it's the middle of the day when it's seeing blue light. So our brain is not going to make our pineal in our brain is not going to make melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, if we're constantly spending time scrolling or on screens in the evening. Make sure if you're watching things at night on the television as well, you don't want to be watching like really intense stuff. This is a time where cortisol and melatonin kind of are opposing of each other. So we want to make sure that you're giving the body the chance for cortisol starts high in the morning and it's supposed to slope downwards as you get towards the evening. So we want to make sure that your body's able to get into that restful place so that you're able to have a good night's sleep at night too. Exercise is very beneficial when it comes to managing stress for your body. Believe it or not, exercise is a stress on your body, but as long as it's not super intense and too much for you exercise can be very helpful because it's teaching your body that you can handle stress in small doses and then afterwards you're okay. I don't recommend exercise before bedtime because that's going to spike your cortisol and is going to make it harder for you to get to sleep at night. But exercise and moving your body is very helpful as well. We want to make sure as a society, we're much more sedentary and we spend more time seated than we ever did in history. And so we want to make sure that we're getting out and moving. That can just be even going for a walk, especially if it's a walk in nature. This is going to be very beneficial because there's so much that we get electronically or energetically, there's the right word, when we're out in nature as well. We just pick up different vibrations from being out among the trees and the plants and in nature versus being inside and surrounded in this Wi-Fi city that we're all living in. So water, electrolytes, salt, good quality sleep, deep breathing, exercise and movement, and then food as well is going to be beneficial here too, especially when we're talking about the stressors. If there's parasites, if that's an underlying infection that's stressing your body out, alcohol and sugar are not going to be your friend. They're going to feed parasites. And the more you continue to feed them, the more they reproduce in your system. I know it's gross. Parasites are disgusting, which is why it's something that's not often talked about. Well, it's not talked about for a lot of reasons, but the fact that they're gross, I hope you won't shy away from them just because they're gross. Because if we think about these things are living inside of us, and when we can start to understand that and appreciate that it doesn't mean that you're gross, it doesn't mean that you're dirty. North America, parasites are more of a problem than most people realize because it's a topic that's often considered not a thing here, not in this, first world country, and it's not somewhere that we see these things. But parasites are in, if you have a pulse, you probably have parasites. And the fact that we have so many other stressors in our life, our immune system is designed to help us deal with things like parasites, like chemicals, like heavy metals. But when the barrel gets so full that it can't handle them anymore, this is when parasites become a problem. This is where they can start causing symptoms and showing up for you. And so if you're dealing with any of these things, or you find that you are having symptoms showing up, your body is telling you that there's something going on and something that needs your support. So if you're interested, I mentioned we are doing another live in-person event on March 23rd. So that's Saturday, March 23rd at noon. We're also going to make this one available to you virtually. So if this is something that you're interested in, if you're on Instagram right now, the link is in the bio to check that out. If you're watching this anywhere else, I'll drop the link in the comments for you. These events are great. We only have, I think it's 13 spots left for people to come in person to this event. We have a special bonus for you if you're able to show up in person. But if you're interested in checking this out online, make sure you click on the link in the comments below and register for this event. It's great. You can get any of your questions answered. We're going to talk all about where they come from, what the symptoms can be associated with them, which often, you can go to your doctor because you have chronic headaches or because you have joint pain or because you have itchiness or restless legs or all these different things. And parasites are often ruled out because the lab testing and the screening is done in North America to help detect these often will miss them. So we'll talk about other ways that you can handle these and how we've seen so many clients have amazing results just from working on giving their body the support it needs to be able to deal with these things properly. So if you're interested in checking out the event, make sure you click and save your spot. If you can come in person, amazing. We'd love to have you. As I said, we're going to have a special bonus for the people that can come in person, but the people that can join us online, you're going to get so much value from this as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this. And just something to consider because often when we think of stress, like I said, we just think about like what's going on with my kids right now, or what's going on in my marriage, or my work, or financially, or all these things. But it's like, what are the stressors that are impacting how your body functions as a whole is a really important thing to think about because the other stressors are ones that we can't necessarily get rid of. Like to say to a client, "Oh, your stress is really high." Okay, well, you need to bring that down is not practical. But if we can give your body the support to be able to handle the day-to-day stress, you're going to have less health problems. You're going to have less symptoms. If you're a woman in perimenopause, you're going to transition into menopause much easier. And life just gets better when your body is functioning better. So if you have any questions, reach out anytime. But if you're interested in joining us on March 23rd, make sure you grab the link in comments below or in my bio if we're on Instagram. And we'd love to see you there. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. It's Kate from Align Natural Health. Live well, natural.